Kevin.
cup holders, I mean.
No. Kevin's in Detroit, and he's on ice. I want a ticket. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, guys, that song just invokes, like, the image of a guy with his hair parted down the middle, like, listening to Loverboy.
Why not? You got to work for the weekend, buddy. Everybody's working for the weekend.
Hey, the Lions have
Turn
been
me loose.
responsible. Are you there?
Yeah, go ahead. I just started going on a Loverboy tangent, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay. The Lions have been responsible for 2 of the last 9 tight ends drafted in the first round, and those things – they also, give you a bad image. I don't think the Lions can draft a tight end because of that history, but also because not one of these guys outside of the season Ebron has had is in a top 10 situation. So there's no draft history that supports picking a tight end in the first round that would warrant wasting a pick on a position player in that category.
I mean, you're kind of right. I don't Vernon Davis had some really good years mixed in there, and but there's not a great history of this. You have to be right. You have to be so right if you do this, and it seems like a bit of a long shot.
And that's a position where if you're wrong, it's very apparent you're wrong. It was very apparent Ebron was not good to everybody. You can't hide.
Wait a sec.
That position.
He was good.
Well,
but he wasn't. He didn't feel like he was worth it in the end. If he goes out and finishes his career by carbon copy this year for the next 3-4, then it'll be clear that he needed a different offense or quarterback or just philosophical use of the tight end spot. But right now, no, it doesn't look like Ebron's career is tracking towards being worth being a first-round pick. But that story could change.
Number one, hold a different level, and I don't think a tight end will ever live up to those expectations unless they're Gronk, and he was a second-round pick.
Yeah,
so.
I mean,
Ertz was a second-round pick. Kelsey was a third-round pick.
But if Gronk went in the first round, and that it doesn't change who Gronk is. It doesn't change who these guys are based where they. It just means Gronk was undervalued coming out of college. There was an injury question there, wasn't there?
There may have been.
I thought when he was drafted.
I think what it tells you though is that you can get great tight ends later in the draft.
You can. Well, it also tells you that people generally don't do this.
Right.
They generally don't invest in this position.
In the first round, right?
But here's the reason why if Mel's mock plays itself out this way, everybody knows about the Lions' needs. Nick Bosa, defensive end, number 1. Josh Allen, outside linebacker, defensive end, number 2. Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle, Bama, number 3. Rashawn Gary, defensive end, Michigan, 4. Montez Sweat, defensive end, Mississippi State, 5. That could be the top of the Lions board right there.
It could be, but here's the other thing. When you look at when we look at mock drafts, and look, they're exercises,
right?
It's all we use them for. We don't really take them too seriously. We like to look at them and see, okay, here's the pool of players that's available that you look at in the first round, and kind of where you think may or may not be there. Is Hockenson there as first round talent, or is he there as a need? If the Lions didn't need a tight end, would Hockenson go in the first round? I mean, is there another team out there that has a screaming? You know what I mean?
I think he would, but there's another reason why this pick has people would have people seizing up. Is it feels like the kind of pick you make after you successfully execute the trade down.
Well,
it feels
exactly,
like the thing when you
100%.
drop from 8 to 15 and take T.J. Hockenson, you go, okay, I understand it more.
Which gets to my next point, which is why I love this mock draft upon second look. Because where it shows the Lions there at 8, Kyler Murray is there at 8. Mm-hmm. You've got teams behind you that want a quarterback and that may want to get ahead of other teams that have a pick, just a few picks behind them. The Redskins may love Kyler Murray. The Dolphins may love Kyler Murray, but the Redskins are going to have to get ahead of the Dolphins to do so. The Lions would definitely be a willing trade partner because what they would want, and what they need a tight end. But needing a tight end at 8 seems ridiculous. Trading back to 15, getting the Redskins pick at 15, and then selecting Hockenson there probably makes a lot more sense than it does at 8, even though I still wouldn't be happy with taking a tight end at 15, but you get another resource because it wouldn't just be flipping picks. You get another pick in addition to that.
And I'm only going to talk about this because the previous caller's right. There's not a great history of tight ends going in the first round and being successes. But that's in part, I'd have to see what the hit rate is on tight ends compared to other positions, because it's in part because not a lot of teams do this. There's just not a lot of first-round tight ends.
Right.
Rob Gronkowski would have been a first-rounder. The reason he wasn't is he sat out his entire junior year with a back injury. He still went in the second round. If Gronk was healthy his junior year, he very well may have been a top 10 pick. And I only compare Gronk to Hawkinson because that's what Mel is doing, man. Mel is just shy of saying Hawkinson's an ex-Gronk. He's also, I've listened to him progressively leg hump this guy. So when Mel's mock came out yesterday and he had Gronk being the pick, I'm sorry, Gronk. Now I've done
Hawk.
it. Now they've Hawk being the pick. I wasn't surprised because I know he loves this prospect.
Well, keep this in mind, too. The last couple of years have been 4 tight ends selected in the first round. In 2017, 3 went. Njoku was at 29. Engram went at 23, and O.J. Howard was at 19. So in recent history, the last 2 drafts, Hayden Hurst went 25th overall in last year's draft, and that's 4 tight ends in the last couple of years. Before that, you had to go back to the Lions selection of Ebron in 2014 when a tight end went in the first round, and it was 10th overall.
248-539-9797. Ticket text 97136. We'll get to more of your phone calls on this. Also, Gator, when you make a statement and you take a stand here on this program, and we do, and then something changes and your stance changes, and you got to come up and say, hey, I was wrong about this, I got to do that today. And I know people love to pile on. So I'll tell you what I was wrong about, and I am vehemently now saying I was wrong. We'll get to that at 11:05. 97.1 The Ticket.